Welcome to the Do This for Life podcast with OEV of Be Truly Faithful. I will be in your ear every Wednesday, encouraging ladies to do love, relationships, family, nation building, and good sex for life. Yes, this is where you get to do this for life, y'all. Woo! So let's go into today's broadcast. We are literally consumed with relationships. We are. It's a big, super huge part of our life. So I will do a quick recap. You really need to listen to part 1 before you listen to this one. But just a quick recap on 3 things you must know about relationships. The first one that I went over was that people evolve. And where I left off was talking about how love, real love, actually can keep you together. It can. I know we've heard these cliches all our lives, all over the years. Love can keep you together and all that kind of stuff. But the truth is, I found that it's something real. It's actually real that we need to talk more about. The power of love is a very strong thing. I have a Facebook Live coming up soon where I will be talking about loving biblically, but that we're not going to get in that today, but it's going to be strong and powerful. I can already feel it in my spirit. I'm like busting open, trying to get it open, trying to get it out there to you. But right now, let's finish up 3 things you must know about relationships. And I'm going to show y'all why I shared even some of the examples I shared in part 1, why it's so important for me to share that. And I'm going to tie it all in for y'all. I promise y'all, I always do that. I'm going to tie it all in for y'all. So where I left off at was talking about how, and it was so powerful, y'all, when I was speaking it, I could feel it when I actually did that recording. I could feel it throughout me. That's how powerful it is. That's how much it touched me. And number 2, about real love can actually keep you together. It talked about when one person believes in another and shows it. We show it by the things we do. I mean, you can see people on the side of the road and help them real quick if their car is down and move along. It doesn't mean you love them. It may be an act of love, maybe even been compassion, but it doesn't mean you actually love them, because love is ongoing. All right. Love is something that you do, not out of obligation. And you're just doing it and your soul ain't in it. You just doing it. And it's because it's required of you. But it's one that is actually married to the deed. The reason why you do what you do is because you are married to the deed. Do y'all get what I'm saying? The feeling of love must be married to the deed of love. See, we can do things just like, okay, I help pick up a piece of paper. You drop your stuff. I help you pick it up. Act of love doesn't mean I really love the person, because I could see that person 3 or 5 minutes later and shun them. But when the feeling that I have when it comes to love is married to the deeds that I do, then the people I'm directing the love towards will feel it. Did somebody get that? I'm not even going to repeat it. I hope y'all got it. They will feel it. They will know that I love them by my actions, by my support of them, by what I do and say to them. I'm loving at you. I'm giving you all of that I have in me to love you properly. All right. See, one thing that love doesn't do is it does not express itself in cruelty. Y'all ever hear of, I think there was a movie once called Cruel Intentions. And at the time, the couple that actually played in the movie, they either married in real life after this movie or they were married at the time of this movie. Cruel Intentions. But anyway, the point is, when they were talking about cruel intentions, when it comes to the movie, they were talking about the things that were done one to another. Cruel things, but then people were like, we're cool. We're still cool and we're friends. No, actually, that doesn't make any sense. When you are cruel, you can't love and be cruel. You may say, I do a lot of things that, I miss the mark and everything like that. But listen to what cruel is. It is when you willfully cause pain. It is when you willfully cause suffering to others and you feel no concern about it. So just because you may have done something that came off cruel and you missed the mark doesn't necessarily mean you don't love. Because we all get in our feelings at one time or another, right? We all get into our feelings. We all have bouts of anger, and we know the Bible talks about putting away anger. But when you willfully cause pain, and you willfully cause suffering to others, and you feel no concerns about it, you're cruel. That's like when you get those young boys that be putting the animals in microwaves and turning it on. Cruel, right? That's not love. You cause pain and suffering on purpose. So that's not love. So love doesn't express itself in that manner. It doesn't do it. It doesn't do it in that way. The way love expresses itself is with passion. Passion for one another. The passion that love expresses is like, you know what? I really want to make this work. I mean, you get on my nerves. You really work them over. I mean, you get under all of my skin, every inch of it. But I love you. And I want to make this work. Have you ever been in a situation like that where you loved so much and you expressed and you showed it that you wanted reconciliation? Love does keep people together. It keeps them together to work things out. It promotes reconciliation. All right. So that's 2. And I've wrapped up 2. I spent quite some time on it in part 1, and I'm just tying the loose ends to part 1. Because I started on number 2, it actually kind of cut off. I want y'all to understand how important love is in relationships. I think we gloss over it too much. And I think we only look at one definition of love too much, the chemistry and the attraction and the phileo love of it. And we oftentimes miss out on the brotherly or the agape love of it. Because it compels us to show our support for one another. Therefore, when we show support for the relationship in itself. Are y'all hearing me? We show support for the relationship in and of itself. You're cheering on your own relationship. Listen, I'll give y'all an example of that, and then we'll move on to number 3. In 2009, my husband and I were actually separated. All right. We had been married about 5 years at that time, and he walked out on me when I was pregnant with our 3rd child. And we had this huge argument. Y'all, I'm going to just tell you right now, if I've never shared it before, we were arguing about money. Now, there were all kinds of things that had been building inside of us, and we just was not doing well. But what made the ish hit the fan was the argument about money. And I was disrespecting him. He was hostile towards me. And we had this huge argument. He left, and I didn't see him for a while. Like, literally, it was almost a month. He was gone. I didn't know where he was. And then, of course, when I found out, I've told this story several times, and one day I'll share it here on the podcast. But at this point, we're just going to talk about the fact that we were separated, and I was pregnant, and I was here with 2 daughters, ages 1 and 3, and pregnant. And the thing was, I was done. I remember every time I tell the story, I remember my feelings at that time was like, I'm done. I mean, he walked out. He shouldn't have, I'm like, he shouldn't have walked out. He don't love me if he walked out. I remember that. But see, here's the thing. When we finally got to the point of making it work, what do you think that was that compelled us to make it work? Love. Love shows support for one another. Love is directional. Love does not resist reconciliation always. I mean, we may do it in the beginning, right? But we're like, come on, let's do this. Love touches you deep within and manifests itself outwardly to love, to make sure we're okay, to make up, to work things out. Love is so amazing, y'all. I know y'all hear love all the time and you're like, yeah, you love. But really, when you hear it in this manner, what does it do to you? When you hear that it compels you. Now, remember when I talked about the first, parental love in Genesis 22? Remember that? And do you remember the love that the father had for his son, but also the love the father had for the father? So he was going to sacrifice his son for the Father, the Most High. Well, love also causes you to sacrifice. The very things you love the most, or you want the most, or you want to keep the most, it causes you to sacrifice your time. Think about it. Sometimes your sleep, money, it causes you to sacrifice your pride. Is anybody listening? Love causes you to sacrifice, to make sacrifices you never thought you would make. When a baby is born and you take them home and you're up all night with them and you want your sleep, love causes you to sacrifice your sleep. Now, I know there's people who just ain't waking up, just like whatever. But I'm serious. Love causes you to make changes in your life you never thought you would make. That's how powerful love is. And that's why my husband and I wrote the book, When Love Stands, because it's all about love standing in you. All right, so that was number 2. I spent a lot of time on love because I really want y'all to get how powerful it is. I don't want you to get so used to hearing love that's like, oh, another thing on love. No, I really want y'all to get the true, real meaning of it, how it is applied in our lives or how it can be applied in our life and what it can compel us to do. All right, let's move on. Number 3. Although we just finished talking about love, the power of it and what it does, too many do not know how to love a mate or a friend for life because they've never seen it done up close and personal. It's never been done to them and they've never seen it up close and personal. Too many, this is number 3, too many do not know how to love a mate or a friend for life because they've never seen it done up close and personal. They've never seen it. It's never been done to them. So we go into marriages, right? And we come from broken homes. We come from dysfunctional families. We saw where there was lots of divorce or there was no commitment. Mommy was with several men we called uncles, or we come from, like I said, divorce, or we come from volatile relationships where vitriol conversations was constantly had, mudslinging. I mean, I know that was a part of the way I grew up, was the constant arguing and fighting, fussing and fighting with my parents. So then we get into a relationship because love compels us to even want to love. We may not know how, but it compels us to want to love. It compels us to want to learn at least. So we get in a relationship and we like them, right? And we hugging and we kissing. Oh, that's good, or, it's okay. It's good enough to make us want to do it again, right? And then the sex is probably involved a lot of times. But then when it comes to doing the everyday operations of love, y'all ever hear of the day-to-day operations? Well, when it comes to doing the day-to-day operations of love, this is where a lot of us fail. We can't do it. We can't deal with conflict because all we've ever seen was how not to handle conflict. So we don't know how to get to reconciliation. We can't get to solving problems because all we've ever seen was how we harped on problems, right? We can't get to loving daily, understanding that it's work to love daily, because all we saw was people quitting love all the time. We didn't get to see people work at love because all we saw was them quit at it. So that's why we get into these relationships, right? And we say, we got each other's back. We gonna do this thing. We in this thing to win this thing for life. But the moment a conflict arises, we out. We're done. I can do bad all by myself. I ain't got to put up with this. Oh, I don't have to tolerate that. Don't we do that all the time? Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. We're out the door. I ain't got to put up with this. But what happens? Love compels us to work things out. Especially with a man. We, most oftentimes, we talk a lot of mess, don't we, ladies? Oh, I ain't gonna put up with this and that. We say that all the time, but behind closed doors, we're putting up with a lot of it, right? We're putting up with a lot of it. So love compels us to work it out with men, but oftentimes not to work it out with our friends. Not with a woman. We cut them off every year, don't we? Every new year, we got posts on social media about how we cutting off this year. And you see most of those posts come from women. Like I said before, we know how to break up, but we need to learn how to stay together. So if you've never seen it done up close and personal, how to love a mate or a friend for life, then how will you know to do it? Now, let me tell y'all a secret about love. Let me tell you a secret about it all. Watch this. There are plenty of people in this world who do not know how to love. There's actually way too many people who really don't know how to love properly. And you may say, well, what does it mean to love properly? Okay, well, we get a good description of how to love in 1 Corinthians 13, and we need to apply it. But what we really need is for people to show us how to apply 1 Corinthians 13 when it talks about love, what love is, right? So basically, we need people to show us how to love. But if you've never seen it, let me tell you what we've been doing for a long time. And I'm going to take some time with this because I want you to get it. I don't want to make a separate podcast on it, or if I have to, I will. But I want to get this. I want you to get this. I'll take a little time here. I'm going to use LeBron James as an example, the basketball player for Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm going to use that as an example to prove what I'm saying. We may not see how to love properly up close and personal. So we see what not to do. We see the constant fighting and arguing and no reconciliation, not right reconciliation. Or righteous reconciliation. We just keep going on next day like it's never happened. Just sweep things under the rug. And then one day we trip over the rug and it's just horrible. And it's just, everybody blows up, right? So you grow up like that in a household. You growing up like that. You see your parents do that, or you see your mom do that with all these different men. You see her arguing with her sisters and her siblings and her mom all the time, and just getting into it all the time. No real reconciliation, just cursing, actually each other out, talking bad about one another, not having each other's back. None of that. But you have a seed of love in you. You still want to love and be loved because humans are made to love and to be loved, right? So you still grow up and want to get into a relationship. You find this girl or this guy you like, and you enter into a relationship. Or, there's even the parental relationship, right? Like, we have mothers and fathers, and they're not doing a very good job in taking care of their children. So those children they grow up without one of them in their lives. Because the parent just didn't stick around. And oftentimes we hear that, especially in the Black community, we hear that with fathers, right? It's not always the case, but we hear that a lot, right? It is the one that is broadcast the most. So LeBron James grew up without a father. Father wasn't around, right? And one of the things he said when he was younger, before he ever got married, before he ever had any children, was that he was never going to do, if he ever had any sons, he was never going to do them that way because he knew the pain. And that's what I want you to focus on. He knew the pain of not having a father around. So when he got older, found a woman he wanted to build a life with, and they had children. Of course, I think they had 2 sons first and a daughter. I think they have 3. But he had 2 sons. And he's so active in their lives. You see them after the games. If you watch them play, you see them when he wins championships. You see him in lots of pictures. You see him even on social media with his children. He loves them. And I'm not saying he's playing favorites and putting his sons over his daughter. I'm just saying that as a man, he made this declaration that he would never leave his children out, especially his sons, because he's seen it too much with his friends and himself. Now, LeBron James wasn't necessarily taught how to love his sons like a man should love his sons or his children because his father wasn't around. But what LeBron James did love, we're not even going to talk about his mother right now. What he did learn, was what he did not want to do as a father. Okay, don't miss it, y'all. LeBron James did not learn to love his children from his father. What he learned was in the absence of his father is what not to do when it comes to loving children. Did y'all catch that? Oftentimes, we know what we don't want. LeBron James did not want to be an absentee father. That doesn't mean he knew how to be a present father. And this is what a lot of us miss. I'm not just talking about parental, but I'm using this as an example. We miss it a lot of times because we know what we don't want. We know we don't want a man, ladies, that beats upon us like the men beat up on mama. We know that. We know we don't want all these triple time divorces like Auntie had. We know that. But we don't know what we do want because we were never taught. Yeah, this is why we get so many basic things, answers from singles. What do you want in a man? I just want someone who don't beat up on me. I just want him with a good personality, one that makes me laugh. I just want somebody that just got my back. I just want somebody that's gonna, want to do this and work things out, and make it work. A lot of us be clapping and appraising that response, but it's more to it than that. One of the reasons why I was able to properly say what I wanted in a man when I was single is because I had mentors. All right. I had mentors. They had to teach me because I saw so much dysfunction in my family and growing up. I didn't know what I wanted when I met them either. I just knew what I didn't want. We're quick to say, I don't want no, I just don't, as long as he don't beat up on me, as long as he don't cheat up on me, right? We'll say that in a heartbeat. We'll say what we don't want, but it's hard for us to say what we really want. We can't really break it down what we really want and need in a man. By the time my mentors were done with me, I was able to say, I want a man who does not come from divorce. I want him to have a legacy in marriage. I hardly ever hear women say that, but that's what I wanted because I came from divorce. And when my mentors talked to me on a spiritual, not just practical, but a spiritual level, and they talked about, some of them believed in like the spirit of divorce and things like that. When we talked about that, I got to understand things at a deeper point. And I said, okay, so I know I don't want to end up divorced. So what kind of man do I need in order to build a legacy of marriage? A legacy of making things work, a legacy of working things out, a legacy of relationships that do not fail, legacy of relational success. So for me, I had to have a man who did not come from divorce. His parents had to be married in the same home. These were my requirements. His grandparents had to have been married. And listen, I was serious about it. And I ended up with a man who majority of his family was married then and still married today. Only one divorce that I am aware of. But his foundation had to be one of marriage. Why? Because just like we were separated, I share that story with y'all, a little bit of it anyway. Why do y'all think we made it? Remember generational? We love to talk about, generational curse. Can we also talk about generational blessings? I needed someone that had a generational blessing of marriage because I believed I had a generational curse of marriage. And I also knew I had to do the work. When I say generational curse of marriage, I mean like generational divorce. And so I am not sitting here talking against anyone who's divorced. I'm just saying I didn't want to go through that. And I was on the brink of it. But I believe one of the reasons we made it was not because of the work, but because what was the seed that was already in us to work it out, especially in my husband. That was key as a head, as a leader of who I was going to submit to in the marriage. Even though he is the one that walked out on me, it was still in him manifesting because we worked it out. There was no divorce papers handed to me. Okay, so I needed someone that had the seed in him of making it, of working it out. So my point is, this is why we don't know what we want when it comes to love, because we've never been taught to love. So what we'll do is when we get into these relationships, y'all, we'll just look at what we don't want. And then we'll be, we gloss over, or we're very basic in what we do want. And we forget oftentimes what we really need. And then we'll just talk about what we think we want. Okay, I hope y'all got that. So, I mean, I'm not talking against LeBron James and him fathering or anything like that, because we're not in his home. So we don't really know what kind of father he really is. I know the pictures and all the videos always look good to me, and I love seeing him in their lives. But I guarantee you, from one parent to another, he's had to learn so much in how to, because he wasn't taught to from his father. So he had to learn how to be a father. He didn't just get it right just because he was present. I'm present in my children's lives every day. I homeschool. I do all this. I'm here. I haven't missed hardly anything with my children. But because I didn't understand affection, I've had to work so hard at it, and I had to learn it. Just because you see me with them and all these pictures all on each other does not mean I got that right. I had to learn that. See, pictures can tell 1,000 words, but they also can miss out on another 1,000. Okay? They can tell 1,000 words, but they can miss out on another 1,000. So when you see my pictures and videos, we look all lovey-dovey, and we are a very close-knit family, and I have come a very long way. But those earlier pictures that you see loving on children as they got older, at that time, I didn't know how to be affectionate with my children. It really made me feel uncomfortable. So we were not taught to be affectionate. We were not taught to love a mate or a friend for life. This is why we cut off so many ladies every year. Every year we're cleaning out ladies. We can't make nothing work. This is why we don't reconcile. This is why we're so quick to be like, it's over. Because we were never taught to love. And this is something my husband and I are going to spend a lot of time on this year on our Build a Nation lives we'll be doing soon. That's another thing. But we're going to be talking about to love. We're going to teach more people to love. Like we've learned. My husband taught me a lot when it came to love. He is the one that taught me about affection and compliments. I didn't get a whole lot of compliments growing up from where I should have got them from. I got them from the outside, from guys. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up with friends where we just always talk good about each other. We roasted each other most of the time. So I'm actually good at roasting my friends. They tell you that. But now I'm called an over complimenter. That means I've learned. And it's not something that I grew up with. So oftentimes we do not know how to love a mate or a friend for life because we've never seen it done up close and personal. So those are 3 things you must know about relationships. I'm about to give you a quick bonus and we're going to recap and I'm done. Number one, people evolve. All right. They develop gradually, especially from a simple to a more complex form. You need to know this. I'm going to tell you why. Number two, love really can keep us together. It can. Love is married to the deed that it does. It expresses itself and shows the support of one another. It's directional. And number three, too many don't know how to love a mate or friend for life because they've never seen it done up close and personal. So they don't really know how to love a friend or a mate for life. When you hear these ladies that's been friends with someone over 30 years, pay close attention to them. When you hear these ladies been married for decades in marriage, pay close attention to them. I'm talking about happily married ladies, and I'm talking about functional friendships. When you hear from these ladies, when you see these ladies out there, please go sit at their feet and learn, because we need more of these ladies teaching us how to do this. All right. So what's so important about those three things that you must know it? Here's why. Because in all of everything I said, the same word that comes up in marriage comes up in friendships, comes up in workships, in kinships, in parental relationships. The same word. Communication is the key to all of this. Communication. When someone evolves, they need to share. That's why I gave y'all the examples that I did. You need to share their thought process, their new thoughts, their new patterns, their what's happened, how they've changed. We need to talk about these things. And when you are on the other end and you have noticed a change, bring it up in a loving, kind way. Bring it up. Talk to them. Communicate. Because I hear so much of relationships grow apart and relationships just come out of sync. Do you know how you can stop them from growing apart and coming out of sync? Do you know how you can rekindle the flames in your marriage? Do you know how you can actually make things work? It's by communicating the change, not in a negative way. You know what? You changed. You used to be so cool, but now you just lame. No, communicate. I've noticed some changes in you. And actually, some of them are pretty cool. I didn't know that you like this type of music, but some kind of scare me a little bit. Can we talk about it? Communicate. Because if you don't come at them hostile, they're going to respond to you in a better way. And so you're not having all these arguments about, you're always talking about I'm changed. You're always, well, you are changed. You don't know. I mean, it just, listen, it's so quick to get an argument. Communicate. Communication, y'all. What about love keeping you together? Communicate. Communicate how you feel loved by that person. I love when you do this. Do you know we can, what they say, we can get more flies with honey. So give them honey. I love when you compliment me. You know what I really love about you? The way you stand up for yourself. You know what I really love about you? The way you have my back in times of trouble. I appreciate you. This is how we communicate. The communication is the key to all of it. We talk about the things we love so we can get to the things that we don't love. Because no one wants to hear you talk about how bad they are all the time. No one wants to hear about, you know what, you never do this, or you always do this. You know what, you're just not this, and you're just not. No one wants to hear that. It hurts. It's like an attack mode. You come home from work, and your mate's like, you know what, you don't never clean up. I wish you would clean up more. I wish you would do this. Instead of, you know what, I love the fact that you come home to me. These are things my husband and I actually have done and do. And that's the key, y'all. Communication is the key. This is how we win at relationships. This year, 2018, you can win. You can win at relationships. You can keep relationships going. You can rekindle the flame in them. Even though some may have seemed to be dying out or growing apart, you can help grow them back together again, right? I mean, we can do this. Communication is the key. We communicate these things to one another. And it's not being disingenuous, by the way, to compliment someone first before you let them know of your concerns that you may have with them. It actually helps to open their heart to receive. So, I mean, come on now. This is showing that we love them and we support them and we want things to work, right? Because we already know how to break up. We need to learn how to stay together. Like Al Green said, let's stay together. Shout out to Ben Sound for the music. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. And listen, if you need help getting focused in your life and getting on track in your life, ladies, hit me up at workwithoev.com and set an appointment with me. If you're not following me already on Facebook, follow me, Octavia Evans. That is my personal page. Hit the follow button. And if you're looking for me on Instagram or Snapchat, hit me up at Be Truly Faithful, at Be Truly Faithful. All right. I love you. And was that not an awesome series? Part 1 and 2 of 3 things you must know about relationships. What do y'all think? Thank you. Thank you so much. And remember, I'll be in your ear every Wednesday. Don't forget, do this for life, baby. See you next week.